it's MW Rago here, Games, Moves, and Vlogs. How the hell is everybody? And welcome to July's movie haul here of 2022. So, yeah, this video is actually, this one's going to be a long one because I managed to get a shit ton of movies this time. So, yeah, trust me, I got a lot of stuff. Bleh. I meant to say, I got a lot to talk about this time. So, now to start off, okay, so to start off, I got a little bit, it's something a little different this time. Usually along with the movies, I would sometimes do a figure unboxing, as I've done, like, plenty of times here this year. Sorry, I almost belched. But this time, I am going to switch it up a little bit and actually talk about a comic book. But this isn't just any comic book. I want to give a shout out to one of the best kaiju artists on the internet, Matt Frank. On Instagram, he's known as Mattzilla. Shit, I really want to get this right. I think Mattzilla85, I think. I believe. I'll put the link to his Instagram in the description below here. He's one of the best kaiju artists I've seen. I saw him way back in, shit man, like in the early 2010s when I found his Godzilla Neo art on DeviantArt, and I used to save those pictures on my old laptop like crazy. Then I found out how famous the guy was because he did, well later on, because he did Godzilla comic books for IDW Publishing, which his art is just badass. It is some of the best shit I've ever seen. So this time I got one of the ones that he worked on, or I don't know if it's the only one he worked on. I got no idea, but I know it's a Godzilla comic book that Matt Frank worked on, and it is this piece of awesomeness right here, Godzilla Rulers of Earth. Now, I know it's, it says Rulers of Earth 2, that's because I already had Rulers of Earth Volume 1, it's over there. It's, what do you call, bottom shelf for my, I don't know if you can see where my finger's pointing. It's like the comic book, or graphic novel really, at the very bottom to the very far right. That's where I have all my Godzilla comics down there, next to my Alien and Predator novels. So yeah, I may not have read Rulers of Earth yet, but the artwork in this is just gorgeous. I mean, as a little spoiler, where's a good, look at this. Look at Matt Frank knows his shit. I mean, look at how gorgeous this, how absolutely gorgeous this looks right here. That's seriously just wow. This art style of his is just pure awesomeness at his best. Like, this guy, can this guy be any more of a kaiju fan? Like, seriously. And the reason why that I love, this isn't my favorite Godzilla comic book series. This is Rulers of Earth is my second favorite actually. My number one favorite is Godzilla in Hell. I know, of any situation, I mean, I will talk about those. I will do a series talking about those. I've never done comic reviews before, but probably something that I might now start getting into because I've seen a lot of other YouTubers do it, and I do have some comic books here, so yeah, I definitely will probably start talking about Godzilla in Hell because it's a comic book series that really needs a lot of recognition. So yeah, Rulers of Earth is my second favorite, but Matt Frank's artwork is just badass. And I picked this up at Barnes & Noble for, it was like 32 bucks, and it's well worth it, in my opinion, anyway. And I still love, like, how, like, the 65th anniversary for Godzilla, like, Shin is was part of the logo, Shinji. So yeah, anybody who has not picked up Volume 1 or Volume 2, I think there's a Volume 3 and 4, I'm not in complete volumes like this. I think there's like a 3 and a 4, but I'm not entirely sure about that. So Yeah, definitely pick this up. And the crazy thing is that I've seen, like I said, I may not have read this or Volume 1 yet, but, when you ever get a new comic book, of course you want to see the pictures before you read it. You want to just look at the art, look at the monster designs, and who's in the stories, who's in this. And I just love the fact how you got Gazora. For kaiju fans out there, you're gonna recognize these monsters. In Volume 1, I've seen Gazora from Space Amoeba, which is a Toho movie from, I don't know the year, which sucks being a Toho fan. And you've got Sanda and Gyra, the two Gargantuas. You have them taking on battling out with the monsters from the Godzilla franchise. And hell, even in this one, I saw one panel that had fight Baragon and Sanda, the brown Gargantua, taking on Kumonga, the giant spider. I mean, the amount of crap that gets put in here is just holy shit. So yeah, I'm sorry, I can't help it. I'm a huge kaiju nerd, and you guys all clearly know this, but I can't help but talk about it because it's it's what I like. So yeah. So anybody who has not picked this up yet, or Volume 1, definitely go pick it up because like I said, Matt Frank is one of the best kaiju artists out there, and the fact that he worked on this, just hot damn. Like, for any kaiju enthusiasts like myself, this is definitely a worthy pickup, to be perfectly honest. Okay, so now that I talked about, that piece of awesomeness, now let's get on to the movies. Now, as you know, when it comes to me doing my movie hauls, I always get the next DC animated movie. And last month, you probably noticed that there wasn't no DC animated movie. That is because of the fact that the DC animated movie from last month, Batman Bad Blood, the two Zia Records here in Las Vegas, neither location had it on DVD, so I had to get it on digital download from my buddy Dude Meister on Instagram. So yeah, I'll put the link to his Instagram in the description below also. He's a really chill dude. So, hold on a second. Oh, shit. Damn, yep, sorry. Oh my god, sorry about that. But now, for this month, I managed to get the next DC animated movie, Justice League versus Teen Titans. Now, I have not seen this one. I think this is the one where, I believe I did see a clip out of this where Starfire, whose Earth name is Corey in this movie, which is really interesting in the DC animated universe. I don't know if this is that movie, but I don't know. There's like this clip. I can't remember what happened. I don't remember if this was it, but when it comes to Teen Titans, like, as you can see here, I have like the complete original series of Teen Titans, the only good Teen Titans series out there. The live action show just called Titans and Teen Titans Go are complete shit. Like, the original Teen Titans animated series here is like the only good Teen Titans show out there. But I do like seeing that they put them in, sorry, I almost belched again. That they put them in the DC animated universe timeline here. And just looking at this looks badass. Like, I just love seeing Beast Boy was always like my favorite one. Cyborg was always my second favorite. and Starfire I think was my third. So it's like, yeah, and Versus, that's kind of crazy how they're both what do you call, like, they're fighting each other. Oh shit. Oh god, look, that's Raven's father, Trigon. Trigon, wow. Okay, I'm liking this version a hell of a lot better than was in the Teen Titans show. Like, the version of Trigon in the show was, don't get me wrong, it was badass, but that right there looks like, that looks hella crazy. Look at this thing. Look at him right here. And the thing about, like, the DC animated universe with this timeline of movies is, I honestly love this more than the, I guess, you know what? I mean, the live action DC universe that I got right here under the Batman. It's like those movies are cool, but they've been very hit or miss, I guess, which is for some odd reason. So it's like the DC animated universe portrays the characters right, I guess. So that's why everyone likes these better, but I like them both equally. I can't really pick one over the other, but I have not seen this yet, but I always get the next DC animated movie every month, so whenever I get to watching these, and seriously, look at this. I have all these DC animated movies. I mean, look at this. And Batman Bad Blood, as you can see, is not in here. Well, it's not in here at all because, like I said, I had to get it on digital download last month. So yeah, here's all of this right here. So whenever I get around to watching these, you know, I hope this is a good one, or at least one of the good ones, I would think. Okay, so for the next movie in the July movie haul here, now you guys all remember last week that I got the first Indiana Jones movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Well, now, since I am collecting that series, we have the second movie in this series. I just said that. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Now, this one was... Hold on a minute. Sorry about that, everybody. I didn't want to. I felt the large burp coming up, and you know, I didn't want to put that in the. I didn't want to put that in the video again, and be. It would have been a little tasteless. So, anyways, as I was trying to say, this was actually the very first Indiana Jones movie that I saw as a kid. My buddy on Instagram. I want to get his name right. Tortilla Hero, I think his name is. I'll put the link to his Instagram in the description below as well. He used to have this movie on VHS, and this was like, shit, man, like in like 2000 something. I know it was like between 2005 and 2009. That I first saw this movie on VHS, and just like everybody else who has seen this movie, the part that always sticks out to me is the scene where in the Temple of Doom, how this guy right here, how this dude takes this other guy's heart out and throws the guy in like a lava pit or some shit. Like that scene, the way it's done, it makes it stay with you for a bit. And then you've got, honest to God, besides Indiana Jones, like my favorite other character in this movie is this kid, Short Round. I always think he's freaking hilarious, especially, and of course, spoilers when I talk about movies, because why the hell not? So, spoilers, you've been warned. For those of you who have not watched any of these movies, so, there, I said it. Anyway, I just love this. The other scene that sticks out in my mind, and my favorite scene out of this movie, is the bit where Indy and Short Round, they're in the middle of the jungle, and they're sitting there playing poker. They're like playing cards or some shit, and Short Round catches Indiana Jones cheating. And while the lady that's with them, I think it's this girl right here, or actually no, the better screenshot of her is this lady right here. How she's running around the jungle being attacked, or she keeps bumping into like all these animals in the jungle while Indy and Short Round are sitting there playing cards and arguing back and forth on the fact that Indiana Jones cheated. So I don't know if that was planned or a blooper that they left in the movie. I don't know what that was, but it's one of the funniest scenes in a movie that I've ever watched. And honest to God, and what I do like about this movie is that this is a prequel to Raiders of the Lost Ark because it takes place. It doesn't say it on the back, but I have the movie novelization on my bookshelf. It's on the bottom shelf on the very, very far right. Yeah, see, here's the movie novelization of it right here. I'm a huge movie novelization fan. Oh, yeah, 1930, 1935. So, yeah, I love how it takes place before Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is dope. I like prequels. I always like prequel movies for some odd reason. So yeah, I would definitely recommend getting this one. Now I remember hearing that it got very negative reception when it first came out because of the seriously dark tone that this had, and over the years it's gotten more recognition. And dude, it's Indiana frickin' Jones. I mean, why wouldn't this series get recognition? I mean, seriously, I know nobody likes the fourth movie, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because it came out in 2009, where it's doped up with, God, like, so much CGI in that movie, it's not even funny. But that's my personal favorite because it's science fiction, it's dealing with ancient cultures and aliens, you know. It's like, it's Indiana Jones, dude. Like, come on. You got the Temple of Doom, the Lost Ark, which is the Ark of the friggin' Covenant, and then The Last Crusade. I can't remember what, honest to God, I can't remember what that one was about, because I've only watched that movie, I think, once. Or no, not even once. I haven't even seen, when it comes to Indiana Jones, like, I've seen this one fully twice, and then Raiders of the Lost Ark I've seen, like, one time, and then, then Last Crusade, I've only seen, like, I think half that movie. I didn't even see that movie all the way through. Yeah, I came in at like halfway into it, and then Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I've seen that movie, I think like, 4 times, I believe. So yeah, I mean, it's Indiana Jones. It was going to tackle the relationship between ancient cultures and aliens at some point, and I'm happy that they did. So yeah, so 2 down, 2 movies to go. So, and I heard that there's supposed to be a 5th movie of this ever since, like, the early 2010s or the mid-2010s or some shit. There was news circulating around the internet that there was going to be a fifth Indiana Jones movie. I really hope it gets made. I mean, seriously, Harrison Ford's done. He went and did Star Wars Episode 7 for crying out loud. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure he can squeeze out at least one more. At least one more. You know what I mean? At least one more. So yeah. So like I almost said earlier, so 2 down, 2 to go when it comes to history's greatest adventurous archaeologist. Okay, now for the next movie here in our July 2022 movie haul, have you guys ever had that one movie that you'll watch on a streaming service or on TV or some shit like that or whatever, and you watch it once and you think you never see it again, like physically anywhere, like you would never see it somewhere where they sell movies? Like it's you only see it on the streaming service. It's something you haven't seen in a long ass time. And also, when it comes to live action movie adaptations of anime, like, I know they're very hit or miss, but there's a lot that I like, or the ones I've watched anyway, like the 2 live action Attack on Titan movies. I'm a big fan of those movies. I don't care how much hate they get. I'm a huge fan of those movies because I do like Attack on Titan, but I like the movies a lot because they're made by Toho, the people who did the Godzilla movies, and the Attack on Titan movies they feel nostalgic because the way they're made. they're actual people playing the Titans, and the attack Titans, or the special ones, or at least two of them anyway, are played by people in suits, and they're fighting on a miniature set. I mean, seriously, it's Toho special effects at its finest. Now, I'm not here to talk about that, but, I'm just talking about live-action anime adaptations. Now, I know there's been a lot of misses. The very, very, very shitty Dragon Ball movie is one of them. I'm not even gonna talk about that piece of shit. That's a literal piece of shit movie. Like, why that got made, I'm not even gonna talk about that. It's so cringy just to even think about it, because we all know it's that bad. And then there's also the Death Note movie that's on Netflix. Now, don't get me wrong, I watched it and I liked it for what it was. And I understand it was Americanized as hell, and there was a lot of gore. There's a lot of gore in it, and it wasn't very well received. And besides the fact that Adam Wingard, who directed that movie, redeemed himself with Godzilla vs. Kong, that Death Note movie, apparently, like, no one likes it. But like I said, I enjoyed it, especially because I like the fact that Willem Dafoe did Ryuk's voice, and he basically did the Green Goblin voice. And speaking of Death Note, and the reason why I'm talking about all that in the first place is because of this movie. Now, this is not, you can tell by this cover, this is not the Netflix movie. I mean, look at this. You can so tell it's not. This was actually made in, or at least it came out in either, like, I think in 2003 this came out. And this movie actually sticks to the anime fully. And I've watched the anime, I think, twice. And when I first saw this, I freaking love this. I freaking enjoy this movie. Like, it sticks so true to the anime. And then there's a sequel. Well, there's actually two sequels to this. It's a trilogy. You got this and Death Note 2, The Last Name, and then L got his own movie. L Changed the World, which I love his spin-off movie. It's actually pretty awesome. And I so love how with this movie, the theme song to it is Danny California from Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like, when I heard that song during the end credits of this, the first time I watched it, I'm sitting there thinking, no, they really got that song in this movie? I mean, the second movie also, I can't remember what the name of that song is, but it's another Red Hot Chili Pepper song. And then in L Changed the World, you got the famous love song, I'll Be Waiting, by Lenny Kravitz, which is honestly one of the best love songs I've ever heard. But honestly, I never thought I would see this on DVD anywhere. I swear I saw it and I had to get it because I enjoyed the shit out of it. But the only thing is that when it comes to special effects from Japan, when they use CG, it's very hit or miss with me. Like, you look at movies like Shin Godzilla, right? The CGI in that movie, great. And then you got the Attack on Titan movies. CG, not as good as Shin Godzilla, really, in my opinion. It could have been better, but it's still pretty good, in my opinion. But this movie here, I don't know if you can, I highly doubt, I'm trying to get it, what do you call, I don't know if you can see, the Grim Reaper guy here, Ryuk, or the Shinigami. I don't know if you can see him in the screenshot, but the CGI on the Shinigami in this movie is it's really obvious. Like, I give the movie respect for sticking to the design as they are in the anime. Like, it's literally copy and paste right out of the anime, but the CG for them, I don't know, like I guess it's because it was 2003 and CGI was in its early infancy at the time still. So, well, not really infancy, but it was still like partially new, I guess. So I can kind of see why the CG's obvious, but that's like my only odd thing with this movie. But yeah, I would definitely, what do you call? I would definitely get this. If you are one of those uh, if you're one of those moviegoers that absolutely can't stand the Netflix movie, then definitely get this one because this movie actually sticks true to the anime at its fullest, and the actors do a phenomenal job playing each of the characters right out of the anime, especially this dude. Especially the guy that plays L. I mean, and the fact that when it comes to and L, I know L's the one that has like the more he's more famous from the story of Death Note more than Light Yagami here, because in the anime and in this, L is just this. It's hard to describe L's character. He sits like a monkey. I kid you not. He doesn't sit normal. And he explains the reason why he does that is because if he were to sit normal, and I'm not kidding about this, if he were to sit normal, he would not be able to think fully. And he's not a cop. I mean, they don't really say if he's a cop, but they say he's like a detective or some shit. And he, no joke. Oh, here he is. You can see him right here. Look, that's in the anime. He dresses just like that. Long long sleeve white t-shirt with blue jeans and no shoes. Like, I don't remember if L even wore shoes, to be perfectly honest with you. But and his hair in the anime looks a bit more wild than that. I mean, I guess they really tried to make his hair look like the anime, but we all know anime hair is, I don't know how people can, pull that style off, but whatever. But anyways, what do you call? I've talked about this movie a bunch, and I've only seen this movie like one time, at least once, and having watched the Netflix movie and the anime twice, and this movie, well, all three original live action movies one time each. Yeah, definitely go get this. It's quite an interesting movie, but if you like Death Note, then definitely watch this. Let me just straighten that out here. Okay, so for this next movie in the July 2022 movie haul, I'm just gonna get right to the point because there's nothing to really introduce when it comes to this one. Here we go, the next movie in the main MCU, the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I've had the second one for a while, but I've never gotten the first movie. Now, this movie here, directed by James Gunn, this movie is one of the funniest Marvel movies I've seen. I mean, a lot of the Marvel movies, there's a lot of stuff in there that's just flat out hilarious, but this movie here is just wow. They got my favorite character up front here, Rocket Raccoon, and you got Groot voiced by Vin Diesel, and then you got Chris Pratt. I love how Chris Pratt was in this, and then Jurassic World 1 came out right after that. So, I don't know, this movie is just flat out funny, and there's nothing much I can really say about this, but the opening to this movie will always be like one of my favorite scenes in a Marvel movie because it just has Chris Pratt, whose character, I like his hero name better, Star-Lord. He puts on this old walker from the 80s and starts listening to Come and Get Your Love. Like, just the opening to this movie is one of the best opening scenes in a superhero movie, and just the way everything is done in this, with the comedy, the heavy amount of sci-fi in here, all the interesting characters, it's just crazy. But I just find it interesting how John C. Riley's in this movie, and yet they don't really utilize him that much. But I'm perfectly fine, to be honest with that. I'm fine because you got the main five here. So yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of you Marvel movie fans out there have this already. So when it comes to the MCU movies, there's nothing, in the words of one of the best one of my top 5 favorite YouTubers, Corrupt Nostalgia, in the words of him, now this is just paraphrasing really, or I know he said it in one of his videos, like when it comes to the Marvel movies, they've all been talked about so many times, so, and I love the fact how this came out in, I think in 2014 or I think this came out in like 2014 or whatever, and I love how this came out the same year that, this came out the same year Godzilla 2014 came out. So I just so love how 2014 was like a really great year for movies, you know what I mean? The 2010s to me always had like the best shit. Always. Like 2010s the movies were amazing. You know what I mean? The Hollywood actually gave a shit back then. So back in the 2010s. So yeah, there's nothing I can say that has not been said about this movie. It's been talked about like crazy. But hey, I'm going through the MCU one movie at a time, or I'm at least collecting them at least. So yeah. So after this, well, I'll talk about that. Next month. Okay, so for the next movie, have you guys ever heard of have you guys ever heard of? There's one movie you've heard of, and you've heard it get talked about maybe once or twice on the internet or in conversation, and then you never think about it again. Then all of a sudden you see it somewhere, then you're like, oh yeah, I've heard about that movie, and then you buy it. Well, this movie is that movie for me, Robot Wars. I mean, look at this cover art. Look at that. Sorry, I almost belched, but I had to keep it silent. Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge sucker for movie robots. That's why I love Mechagodzilla. I love Bionicles because they look like robots. I know they're not, well, there have been movies made of them, but I'm a huge robot fan. I just love robots, and I've heard about this a couple of times on YouTube. I don't think I've ever seen a full review of this movie. I may have. I don't really remember, to be honest with you. But I saw this and I thought I gotta get this. Look at robot versus robot in a metal crunching dystopian future, and it's literally what the title says. You got people who build these things, and it's robot fighting. I would not be surprised if that movie with Hugh Jackman, Real Steel, with the robot boxing, I will not be surprised if the makers of that movie were inspired by this. But just look at this. You got this this big humanoid-looking thing fighting against a robotic giant robot scorpion-looking thing with this pyramid in the background, like literally. And this came out in, I think, it says 1993, which is okay. That's very interesting. It says production date is 1993. So, but it looks like an 80s movie. To be straight up honest with you, but I can't wait till I get a chance to see this, because just seriously, look at this. Look at this. Robots everywhere. Just look at this. Just look at that. Just look at the screenshots they have out of this movie. I mean, seriously, I am just a huge robot fanatic, and In robots, it's about as science fiction-y as you can get. Like when you see a movie about with this kind of subject matter, it's science fiction in every sense of the word. Hence why, when it comes to Transformers, that's why I mean I love the live action movie franchise. I love that, but that's why I love the animated series on Netflix, War for Cybertron, because it's all robots. You know what I mean? It's science fiction in every sense of the term, in every sense of the phrase or word or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I can't wait till I finally watch this, because just look at that. That cover art looks so badass. Okay, so the next two movies that we have in this month's movie haul, I'm just gonna get right to the point here. Now, everyone, well, every serious moviegoer, like myself, we've all heard of the famous B-movie maker. Before there was the Asylum, there was one man who he still makes, he made a lot of B-movies for the Sci-Fi Channel back in the 2010s and the early 2000s. Way before that, back in the 70s and 80s, and I don't know if it was in the 90s or not, but we all know this guy, Roger freaking Corman, a one-man Asylum who, you know, did like 60 movies or some shit like that, and kickstarted a lot of famous of Hollywood's finest careers, like James Cameron being one of them, and apparently Lisa Kudrow at one point. And if you all don't know who Lisa Kudrow is, that's Phoebe from Friends. So yeah, there's this thing that happened in the 2010s with Roger Corman's movies where it was all it was all his movies from the 70s and 80s, or could be the 50s, I don't know, but there's this whole line of like 50 movies that Roger Corman directed as well as produced, called Roger Corman's Cult Classics, and it was this whole entire special release of a lot of his movies, and I got two of them. Now, starting off, we have Piranha. Now, now everyone can tell, this is the original Piranha. Like, the 2010 remake, I don't know if I have any real interest in watching that movie, to be perfectly honest with you, but, see, like, Roger Corman's Cult Classics here, and, yeah, the funny thing about this is that I saw the sequel first, Piranha 2: The Spawning, directed by James Cameron, which is crazy. So, and starring, I think Lance Henriksen was in that movie, who plays a cop. So I saw the sequel first, and I knew about this movie, but I don't know, I don't remember if I ever, like, saw this on DVD a couple times and just never thought about picking it up. But there's something about like Roger Corman's movies where there's this odd B-movie charm to it that they're either like a hit or miss or something. There's this thing about Roger Corman that just has this, I don't know, there's something about the movies that he's been a part of that just have this very odd charm to it or whatever, and freaking, I just so can't believe that, you know, piranhas, they're not that big. These things are not that big, and there's movies made off of them that turn them into like flesh eaters. And actually, this movie was made to cash in on the success of Jaws. Like, ever since the very first Jaws came out, or at least the first two, a lot of B-movie studios were pumping out like direct-to-video movies or movies that had very short theatrical releases, and they're all killer fish movies. And if I'm not mistaken, this was one of them. And then the other movie that I got, this other movie is part of my Amazon orders, but since it's only just the one movie, you know, I decided to include it in this month's movie haul because it was just one thing, you know, like, why do a video on just one little thing here? So this is This movie, Galaxy of Terror, was meant to cash in on the success of Ridley Scott's Alien, and it stars. And the reason why that I got this movie is because one other YouTuber that I watch, Brandon's Cult Movie Reviews, he reviewed this, and he shows clips of the movie throughout his videos of whatever movie he does. And after watching his review, I thought I would honestly give this movie a chance. And I'm telling you right now, after seeing his review, this skull-faced flying monster that's not in the movie, that is definitely not in the movie, or it probably is. I just missed it while watching the movie review. And this movie stars Robert Englund, who would later go on to play Freddy. So, like I said, Roger Corman jump-started a lot of big-time, what do you call it? Who else plays it? Who else plays in this? Oh, it doesn't list Robert Englund in here, but yeah, he is in here. So yeah, it's a science fiction movie, so I figure why the hell not? And I just so love how, like, stuff from the 80s just has this, and even heavy metal, it kind of has a very heavy metal, the original heavy metal, has a very heavy metal vibe to it, almost like an 80s metal album cover or some shit like that. But yeah, am I gonna get any more of these? If I see any more of them on DVD, I probably will start buying these movies, because Roger Corman he's very famous in the Hollywood in the film industry. Hell, the guy worked on the Carnosaur trilogy, for crying out loud. Well, should say franchise. And if you guys don't know, for those of you who don't know, Carnosaur is a franchise of dinosaur movies that the first one came out in 1993, 1 month before the first Jurassic Park came out. And it was meant to cash in on the success of Jurassic Park, because the movie is about genetically engineered dinosaurs that go around and terrorize people. So, but the thing is that it was not, and also it was based on a book as well, like Jurassic Park was, except Carnosaur takes place on the mainland in a small town, and I'm not gonna get into the whole plot of that movie as much as I want to talk about it. But yeah, if I do see any more of these special edition DVDs of Roger Corman's movies, I will definitely start getting them, because like I said, Roger Corman is very well known in the film industry, and he has done a lot of movies for the Sci-Fi Channel, like Dino Shark, the Sharktopus trilogy, Dino Croc, Super Gator, Dino Croc vs. Super Gator. So yeah, and he's done a shitload of other movies back in the 70s and 80s, like I already said that, sorry. But yeah, like I said again, will I get more of these? I most likely will. Alright? So, and we're about, at this point, I honestly don't even know if we're halfway through, because I still have like a good amount of movies. And I'm sorry, I know I said in my last video about rambling and repeating myself, so I'm sorry if I'm doing that. This is off the cuff here. So yeah, now on to the next movie, shall we? Alright, so the next movie that we excuse me, the next movie we have in this month's movie haul. Now, when it comes to movies that center around child characters, half the time, or no, most of the time I should say, that kids' characters in movies can be super annoying. I mean, with the exception of, sorry, hold up, nose is itching. And I mean, sorry, should have been a little more clear on that. When it comes to movies that, they have kids in it, but they're not, like, centered around kids, like, kids are not the main focus of the movie, half the time that can be seriously annoying. I mean, look at the Showa Gamera films, anybody? Every one of them except Gamera versus Barugon. Every every other Showa Gamera movie, I should say, and also except Gamera the Brave. So yeah, half the time that can be super annoying, but the next movie that I have, this movie from J.J. Abrams, the guy who did Cloverfield, or the guy who produced Cloverfield, I mean, sorry. I used to watch this movie a lot in the 2010s when I first heard about it. I think it did come out in 2010, I believe. Oh, it came out in 2011. I used to watch this movie a lot, and the reason why that I started watching this movie is because every time I would look up a list of giant monster movies, this movie would pop up on that list every single time. So I watched it one time when... Any of you guys remember back in the 2010s when On Demand was a thing? Well, I mean, it is now, but remember when it first started back in the 2010s? Well, this movie was always there, and I would watch the living shit out of it. And the whole movie, I just love how this was the movie that introduced me to actor. Well, it didn't introduce me to this guy here. Crap, what was this dude's name? Ah, shit, I forgot this guy. I forgot this guy's name. He's in Godzilla vs Kong, and he's in King Kong 2005. Oh my god, his name is so easy. Damn it. Oh my god, I literally forgot the dude. I literally forgot that actor's name. That sucks. I'm sorry. That's sad, to be honest with you. But anyways, like, you see this whole movie just centers around these kids, and these kid characters are not annoying. Every child character in this movie, it's the adults who are annoying in this movie, which is kind of odd, but when you really think about it, it actually does make sense. But these child actors, each of these characters, they're not annoying. Every one of them, they're all great in their roles. Like, you have the main character who is going through family loss, and then you got his buddies who are trying to, and the reason why this movie is called Super 8, for those of you who have not heard of this movie, or have heard of it but have never seen it, the reason why it's called Super 8 is because it's the type of film, and the whole point of this movie is, well, the premise, I should say, it takes place in the 70s, like in 1979, I believe, but you'd never, well, I guess you can kind of tell. But there's this film festival going on called quite literally, the Super 8 Film Festival, and it's the type of film, and you can see it in this you can see it in this screenshot here, like these kids try to enter this contest by making a zombie movie, and the film they use is Super 8 film. So, hence why the movie's called that. But at the same time, though, there's this big mystery that comes on. This alien goes around, and it doesn't kill people, but it takes them for some damn reason. That part's not explained, and the fact that the alien is not anywhere on this cover actually does kind of suck. And the creature's name is Cooper. I'm not joking. They don't say it in the movie, but every time you look this movie up, you'll see the name Cooper be mentioned, and that's the name of the monster, or the alien. And the whole mystery about it is, like, you know, as I was saying about the premise, like, these kids are trying to make this movie, and all of a sudden this old truck just drives onto some train tracks and derails a train, because that train was carrying military shit, and the stuff, it was just carrying... Yeah, sorry, I don't want to repeat myself. And then all of a sudden this big monster escapes out of one of the train cars and starts going around town. And it doesn't rampage around town. It differentiates in the genre because whenever there's a creature, it would go around and just rampage around town and all kinds of shit. But it kidnaps people, and yeah, it does, bust a few things up, but the whole thing with Cooper is that he just wants to leave Earth. He wants to go home, and the military won't let him do it. Or the small military group in this movie just won't let him do it. And there's like parts of his ship that he's trying to grab, and he just wants to go. That's the whole thing about this alien in this movie. He just wants to leave. And the military characters are portrayed as assholes, and which is kind of weird in a lot of creature films. It's really weird how, like, half the time the military, they're portrayed as assholes. I don't know why. Because knowing having one of my friends who is in the service and have spoken to veterans before, they're not assholes. So I don't know why they're portrayed that way in creature films. It's really weird. But yeah, this is a really great movie. The thing about this movie, though, is that they barely show They barely show Cooper at all, which is really weird. And you would think that, for a movie that it's centered around the kids, this entire movie. It's centered around the kids, and then the monster's just kind of a side character a bit. It's really weird, but it does it in a way that it's not that you don't get frustrated with it, where you don't get frustrated like, as much as I love the MonsterVerse, I gotta bring this up. Like in Godzilla 2014, when Godzilla shows up, it cuts away all the damn time, which is really annoying for that movie. But yeah, I would honestly say check this movie out if none of you out there have. The story behind the alien is the little bit of backstory they give it. They don't say what planet it's from or none of that. They just say that it was captured, of course, by the U.S. government, and apparently it's the alien from Roswell. They say, like, they mention the Roswell crash, and this is the thing that came out of that ship. And when Cooper touches you, it's his way of communicating with people, I guess, and it uses telepathy to talk. They don't really go too much into how the creature works, but yeah, it's very fun. It's a fun movie. Like, that's the whole point. And I forgot that Steven Spielberg was attached to this movie. Like, damn. Okay. Alright, so yeah, that's mainly, I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but I know it's one of my favorite science fiction films. Okay, so the next segment for this month's movie haul is, again, I think at this point we're halfway through, and like I said, I managed to get a lot of movies this time. So this next one here I got at Walmart. It's Project Gemini here, and I saw this cover, and I saw like the alien tentacles on the cover, and see it says "An unimaginable terror awaits." I saw that, and I'm like, oh sweet, it's an alien movie. And to be perfectly honest, I think this is a Russian movie. This has to be a Russian movie, to be perfectly honest, because I looked at all the cast, and all the names of the cast members look Russian. And the fact that it says that you can turn but it says the language is in English, so I don't know if this movie's already dubbed in English. I don't know, to be perfectly honest with you, but the movie came out this year, and I've never even heard of this movie. I just saw it at Walmart and picked it up. But I saw the cover art, and it looks awesome. So it's got some giant alien, terrorizing people and shit. So apparently, like, the premise of this movie is, it's that cliche of, Earth has run out of resources, so now we gotta go find a new planet, and whatever new planet they find, there's a giant pissed off alien hunting them down. So yeah, it's cliched as hell, but I can't wait to really see what they do with that or what they really do with it, or at least like what this thing looks like. I mean, look at these. I mean, look at these tentacles on the side here. Like, whatever this thing is, and the destruction on the, and a little bit of rubble on the floor here. Like, this thing must be real. It's, in the words of one of the characters, I think, yeah, Clark from John Carpenter, from the original The Thing from 1982, or, well, the John Carpenter movie from 1982. Whatever this thing is, it's weird and pissed off. Okay, so now for the next movie, a little bit of I'll start this off with a little bit of trivia here. Now, anybody who is a fan of Tremors probably knows that the original title for that movie was called Land Sharks before it became Tremors. Well, apparently, some movie studio in China, I guess, decided to take that title seriously. And I say it's a Chinese studio because when you look at the names, it's all the names are in Chinese. So yeah, just look at this cover and well, first look at this. Now, you see this and you think, oh my god, does the shark actually resembles that? Because does it even look like that? Because usually with some of these creature movies, you see the monster on the cover, and then when you watch the movie, it's like, oh my god, why doesn't it look like the freaking cover? Well, apparently, here's the back of the cover, and apparently this movie actually tells the truth. Like, I guess that's what the monster actually looks like. And to be perfectly honest, I love how there's like the Hard Rock Hotel here. Does that mean that a little bit of this is gonna take place in Vegas? I don't know if Hard Rock hotels are in any other part of the world. I got no idea here, but I've never even heard of this movie. To be perfectly honest, this is one of the ones I got at Walmart, and I saw the cover and I thought, oh, this actually looks badass. And the thing with shark movies is I am extremely picky on shark movies. Like, I'll watch the Sharknado movies any day of the week, but the thing about shark movies, any other shark movie except Sharknado, the thing about this genre is I like sharks that actually have a design to them. Like, you look at what do you call it, the Meg from 2018, right? That shark, or those sharks, they do look like oversized great whites, but then when you look at them, they actually have a design to them. Like, they look prehistoric, right? And then you look at other movies like The Shallows or 47 Meters Down, well, the first one anyway, they just look like, you know, regular great whites. And I like sharks that have a very monstrous design to it, like it looks like a monster shark. And, oh, another movie to bring up is Roger Corman's Dino Shark. You know, it's a shark, but it has a dinosaur-looking head, and it's covered in scales and shit. So, yeah, with me being picky when it comes to shark movies, and this thing has a very dope design. Like, it's got thick scales, it looks like, and it's got armor and spikes all over it. So I like that, but had never heard of this movie. And the thing about the Chinese film industry, I've been noticing it a lot ever since the 2010s, is that they make creature movies faster than the Asylum does. I mean, they've done, what do you call, they do a lot of creature films. It's crazy how many, it's insane how many creature movies that the Chinese film industry spits out. It's insane. So, but hey, I like that. So, honestly, I can't wait to see this movie whenever I get a chance, because, you know, all of this, and, you know, these as well. So, yeah, I don't really have much to say about this, because, like I said, I've never even heard of it. So, yeah, I hope it's a fun one. Okay, so for this next movie in this month's movie haul, now remember when I was talking about, what do you call it? Remember when I was talking about Bigfoot here? And I said, how, you know, there's that one movie that you like really, really want, and you're wishing you can get it somewhere, and you couldn't find it in stores or whatever. Well, this next movie is one of those movies, but I was actually able to find it at Zia's, and it's this movie. Now for those of you who don't know, there's a movie called Monsters. It was just called Monsters. It's directed by Gareth Edwards, who would later direct the 2014 Godzilla movie. And Monsters is basically, or the first movie anyway, is about it's like this alien that crash landed in Mexico, or some satellite that crash landed in Mexico, and then like half of Mexico is a quarantine zone because there's these weird, hence the name of the movie, monsters that just roam around the place and they wreck shit or whatever. And then so that's like the whole entire, like, in establishing that world. But the main plot is, you know, this news photographer trying to get his boss's daughter through the quarantine zone and back here to the U.S. And that movie, it has a lot of good reviews, and every time, there's hardly any creature scenes in the movie at all. I mean, there's only like not even 3 minutes of total creature scenes in the whole movie. So, but it has a lot of good reviews, and the whole thing is that the movie is so low budget that Gareth Edwards said that he did most of the photography on it, and he did a lot of the visual effects on the movie himself. So, and then on top of that, he even said that there were some places that they weren't even allowed to film in because I got no idea really, but yeah, and that movie apparently had a very limited theatrical release, or it didn't. I don't remember if it even came out in theaters at all, to be perfectly honest with you, but yeah. So now it got a sequel now the first movie came out in 2010, and this one came out, you know, I don't know when this one came out. I think it was 2015 or some shit like that. I don't know. Oh, I don't remember when it came out, but it's set, I guess, like 10 years after the first movie. So yeah, this one I like a lot more because, like, for this one, what do you call, shit. So for the premise of this one, I've not seen this movie all the way through. I've tried to watch it like several times. Well, not really several, but I've tried to watch it like 3 times all the way through. And I really do enjoy this one a lot more than the first movie, because the premise of this one, it focuses primarily, like the first movie, how the first movie focused on the people the whole movie. This movie does the same thing, and it is basically a war story with some of the characters, and they get deployed to the Middle East, and they gotta face the Taliban and all that shit. And the monsters are just there. You know, they're just kind of there, because apparently, like, in this universe, the monsters started to spread past Mexico and shit. So, and the monster designs in this movie are a lot better than the first movie, because the first ones resembled, like, an octopus on giant bug-like legs or some shit, while this is what they look like. You know, you can't really see them clearly, but the CGI on the creatures in this movie is a hell of a lot better than the first one. Like, the first movie, the CG in that movie was good. Everything about the first movie is really good. Effects-wise, cinematography, and, you know, the 2 characters act very much like a normal everyday people. So, there's that. But I do love this one more, because it has a lot more action in it with the human characters. And the CGI on the creatures looks a lot better. But I know this one gets hated on a lot. Like, this one is not really well received. But that's just my opinion. I love this one more, and I have been wanting to get this for a long time. Ever since I first saw it, I think it was on Netflix. I think like I saw a trailer for it, and then I saw a clip from IGN where they show these little monsters that are like the size of a Jeep, at least the size of a Humvee, but not really. They're smaller and they run on all fours, and they don't really bother the humans that much. They just walk around or run around, and the military just kills them. So that's pretty much it, really. I hope this gets a 3. I hope somebody at Hollywood or some whatever movie studio made this movie just straight up makes a series out of this. Like, they can easily do like at least 1, maybe 2 more movies out of this. Because seriously, this movie's just really badass. I really do enjoy this one. To be perfectly honest with you. So, do I recommend it? I recommend both. I recommend getting both movies, and the first one is in one of my boxes of movies in my closet there. So yeah, definitely get both Monsters movies. And the title is so interesting, just called Monsters. I mean, I guess they couldn't call it Aliens, you know, or whatever, but it's so weird how it's one of those movies that take a regular word and turn it into something, you know what I mean? Alright, so for our next movie, remember when I was talking about the Chinese film industry with Landshark here? Well, our next movie, I know this video's gone on for, shit man, if this video ends up being like close to 2 hours, I'm not gonna really be surprised. Because as you can see, I said I have a lot of shit. I managed to get a lot of shit this time, so yeah, yeah, so let's get on. We're almost done at this point. We are almost done. Okay, this is just so crazy with me being a movie fanatic. It's just like, holy shit. Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so for our next movie, I was talking about the Chinese film industry. Here we have Serpent of Death. Now, this movie, I have seen this before, and this is actually a pretty fun movie. Like, when you look at the CGI in this movie is a little odd, actually, because you look at the back of this cover and look at this snake. Look at this giant snake. Like, this is actually how the CGI looks in this movie. And it looks great, and then there's other shots of this thing where it looks obvious, and then you have like this smaller snake right here, which is on CGI wise level with the giant one, and then there's like these man-eating plants, which the CGI for them is pretty obvious, and then they don't show it on here, but then there's these other like these weird piranha-looking fish that jump out in hordes on the foggy river, on this foggy river scene. So it kind of has like one of those things of you go to some jungle and then there's all these like weird ass creatures that live there. Now what I find funny is it was retitled. This movie had to have gotten a second title because it's have you guys, any creature fan out there, have you guys ever seen the movie? It's called $1 Million Crocodile, and on the DVD releases it's called Croczilla. You know, that's what this movie basically is. It's like a giant snake version of that, but except this thing lives in a wild ass jungle. And because when I first saw this movie, I'm not kidding, when I first saw this movie on YouTube, it was originally just called Snake. Like, no joke. That was the actual name for this movie, was just Snake. And then I guess it finally got a DVD release, I guess. I don't know. Well, this came out in 2018, but I guess the title was changed when the DVD released, because I guess Snake wasn't a good enough title. Serpent of Death, actually, that does sound like a better title, to be perfectly honest with you. This is a fun creature movie. You know, it plays on like every cliche in the book. I mean, you go to the characters go to a jungle, run into a bunch of creatures, and for a goal, and one of the character you got your characters who are assholes. One of them, some of them you like, and it's such a very cliched movie, but it is a fun movie nonetheless. And like I was saying, the Chinese film industry, they are pumping out movies like this left and right. Hell, there's even one of them, one of their newest ones, where it's called like Resurrection or something like Dinosaur Resurrection or some shit like that, Jurassic Resurrection. I don't really know the name of it, but there's this movie that I keep hearing about or seeing bits of on YouTube where they go to this, where these people go to this island and there's dinosaurs fighting giant snakes, and I hope whatever movie that is, I so hope I can find it at Walmart, because it looks like a really fun movie on the level with this. So yeah, I really don't have much to say about this movie, to be perfectly honest with you. So yeah, there's that one. Okay, and also, to be honest, I love, one more thing. I love movies that have covers like this. I love movies that have that have box covers and stuff. I really do enjoy that. It kind of gives it a much newer look. It makes the movie feel a lot newer when you buy it. So, yeah. Okay, so the last two movies, and the reason why I'm saying doing two at once here, well, I did two at once when I talked about the Roger Corman movies. So yeah, the last two movies that I have in this month's movie haul are, before I get to that, have you guys ever had that time where, sorry, almost belched, you guys ever had those movies that you've had for like a shitload, like you've had them for a long ass time, and you've watched them so many times that the disc is all scratched up from you watching it so much? Well, these last two movies I have, but the DVDs that I had are copied in bootlegs, so they're bootlegs, and I've watched them both so many times that both the discs are scratched. So thought I'd end it on something you all know him and love him. Ended on some Godzilla. Now, this first one is Godzilla vs. Monster Zero. Now, it sucks. I know this is like one of the older DVD, like one of the older DVD releases of this movie. I don't have the one that the Toho, the special edition Toho collector's version. Like it has this kind of cover on it. It doesn't have like this kind of special cover to it, So yeah, I couldn't find that when I went to Zia's. I couldn't find that, but they had this, and this one, honestly, it's not one of my top 10. I know it's not one of my top 10, but this one to me is one of the honorable mentions, because there's a lot of sci-fi in this movie, because it shows a lot of like UFOs and shit, and then of course you got aliens, and yeah, this movie, to be perfectly honest, it's, like I said, it's an honorable mention, not really one of my top 10, but I just love how this cover gives Godzilla like this old time. Let me take the price tag off so you can see like what Godzilla like, what he fully looks like here. Okay, see, look at this. Like, you look at Godzilla on this cover, and that hardly even looks like Godzilla. That looks like some T-Rex from an old dinosaur movie that could be made around the same time as this. So yeah, sorry, almost revealed the back one there. So yeah, would I recommend this one? Definitely. Now for the very last movie that we have in this month's movie haul, we have Godzilla vs. Gigan, and this was one of the those 50th anniversary editions, because you all remember from the 2000s how they had the that Godzilla collection where it was all like where it has these 50th anniversary labels on them. Now this movie is an oddball in the original franchise that ran from 1954 to 1975. This is 1972, and it was, anybody who has seen this movie like remembers the weird comic book, goofy comic book shit, and the fact that Godzilla and his monster, his buddy Anguirus here, they both talk. It's a weird movie. It's a very, very weird-ass movie, and I love how the movie, on the front cover, it says Godzilla vs. Gigan, and yet Ghidorah is on the front and not Gigan, and Gigan's on the back. You know, at least with the 50th anniversary of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla from 1974, at least that DVD cover has both Godzilla and Mechagodzilla on it, not Godzilla and another monster, you know what I mean? So this is a bit odd, but this one I would only recommend it to diehard Godzilla fans because it's it's like the pinnacle of 70s Godzilla. It's goofy and it's a really odd movie. A lot of Godzilla fans say this one sucks, but like, it's not really my top 10, but it's not really an honorable mention either. It's just like, when you watch it, you just have like some fun with it, you know what I mean? But I mean, I enjoy it because I'm a Godzilla fan, to be honest. So yeah, yeah, well, there you go. Okay, so there you go. Did my extra, talk about my extra, and then all the movies I got. As you can see, the stack for this one is a lot bigger than usual. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed that. I know this video was really long, but again, had a lot of shit this time. And I don't mean shit as in, oh, this is bad, but you guys get the idea. So yeah, please I hope you all enjoyed this long ass video. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I really do appreciate I do appreciate that all you guys out there support me and my content. It gives me motivation really to keep doing this. I know that sounds cliche, but it's the truth. You know, being real here, it honestly is the truth. So yeah, please come and follow me on Instagram at LizardMan2021. The link for it is up there on the bottom right corner of the banner. And also, for those of you who have a DeviantArt, please come watch me at Dimetrosaur 2022 for some dinosaur and kaiju fan art. And I haven't posted on there in a long time because doing the art that I do on there takes me forever, and I've been doing other projects and shit. But still, come and watch me there. So yeah, this is Tim W. Rago, and I'm gonna say peace out, everybody, and I will see you all in whatever video that I decide to do next.